Ludicrous feed is proudly sponsored by Carloop Data, Koba Car Insurance, and Wallbox EV Chargers. Morning everyone, I'm reviewing the Kia EV9 Earth variant today. All-wheel drive, 99.8 kilowatt hours, 95 kilowatt hour usable battery, 7-year warranty, 0 to 100 in 6 seconds, 600 newton meters of torque, 283 kilowatts of power, and 517 kilometers of WLTP range. Let's take a look at the vehicle. And of course, the first thing you'll notice that it's a huge vehicle. I'd probably classify this as a large SUV slash people mover. 7 seats, of course. And the front of the vehicle is very much in keeping with Kia's next generation cars. And looks very rugged, very sturdy, as you'd expect for a road tripper or an urban people mover, of course. Nice big tires. What have we got here? Nexen Enfera Sport SUV tires. 255/60 R19. Same front and back as well. Very tall vehicle. In terms of footprint, the closest I could find is probably the Toyota Land Cruiser, although the Land Cruiser is slightly taller than this vehicle. Flush door handles, make it more aerodynamic. Folding side mirrors, blind spot monitor, and roof rails up the top for extra storage. Let's have a look around the back here. There's the badging there, EV9. Have a look at the boot in a second after we do the walk around. Charge port on the right side of the vehicle. That's probably my one gripe. It'd be nice if it was on the left. Optimal position is on the left for use of the V2, V3 Tesla superchargers. So we've got cover for the DC portion. That's probably easier than other covers I've seen, which is a bit of a fiddle to get out. But at least this one you can just open and close. So the Type 2 portion up there. And then that's the charge status currently. It's only about, I think, 18% currently. So we'll go charge this vehicle after this walk around. And then just shut the port and press that button there. Show you another rear 3/4 shot from here. Alright, so that's a walk around of the Kia EV9. Let's have a look at the bonnet, the boot, and the inside, of course. I'm sure you want to see the third row as well. A very spacious 7-seater indeed. Okay, so let's open the boot to start with. Okay, there we go, buttons for closing and then lock as you walk away. Very spacious inside as a 5-seater, lots of boot space. We've taken this car everywhere this week. And we even went to IKEA and Costco. Lots of storage. I can barely reach the second row. I've got to actually climb in, as I'm doing now, to get to this part of the boot. Comes with a mobile connector in this kit inside there. Got the internal vehicle to load, allowing you to power up to 3.6 kilowatts. There we go. You can also access the charge port from this side as well in case of emergency. Lots of hooks, lots of clips for storage, extra bit of storage here, and this is very useful here when these third row seats are pulled up. My passengers who have sat here so far have remarked that the cabin feels very much like an airplane. Very comfortable airplane. So that's some good feedback there from Kia. Let's pull the strap up. So it's like a bit of a retraction here. And then you pull this up all the way. Let go of the strap and it holds. And then pull the headrest up. And then same with the other side like this. Stays there once you let go of the strap, headrest up. And these 2 buttons here also drop the second row if you press them. So watch this. Press this button here. And that seat goes down. And same with this one. And then if you want a lot of storage, pull these ones down too. You can see now there is a lot of storage now with second and third row down. Okay, so to climb into the third row, you have to press this button here, and there's a button on either side as well, so on the left side and the right side. So easy access to climb in from either side. So push that, okay, and the seat slides forward, and then you can just climb in here. Of course, with the people mover, all we really care about is storage and comfort. I've shown you the storage so far, and then from the comfort point of view, I'll just pull these seats back. So this is the difference between having the second row all the way forward currently, like this seat here, and then all the way back. And I'm not super tall, like I said, but even I would struggle sitting in that position for a long time. So luckily the second row is adjustable in terms of how far you can have the seat back. And then back here in the third row, you've got two seat belts, one on this side and then one on this side. No middle seat, just two. Very comfortable seats, by the way. No heated seats back here, but you've got USB-C ports, a speaker, you've got cup holders, storage down here. So very comfortable actually for pretty much all passengers in all positions, which is what I want in a people mover. Child seat anchor points, 1, 2, and 3. Now, of course, when you press this button here, the seat does jack forward a little bit, so it gives you slightly more room to enter like this, so it's fairly straightforward to get in. And then to get out, same thing, lots of places to hold. If you are less mobile, you may need to help those who need a bit more help to get out, because there is a bit of a step down onto the ground. And then to pull the seat back, pretty easy. There. Okay, so let's have a look at the second row. So if I were to pull this seat, and by the way, they're just mechanical levers there. So if I were to pull this seat all the way forward to allow lots of room in the back, if I sit down, now that's the first stop there. So that's kind of the minimum amount of space for this row. And so I've got 1, 2 fists from my knees to the back of the driver's seat. And then this chair is actually pushed all the way back. And then if I move across here, there's plenty of space. So those with long legs won't have any problems at all. Okay, so I forgot to show you in the third row, you've also got a middle light there, and also air conditioning vents on either side. We've driven this on a very hot day, and the third row passengers were okay with that. Drove across town to visit relatives at 6 seats occupied, no problem. And then from the second row, you've actually got controls for air conditioning here. See that? Which is pretty cool. Again, so no complaints, hopefully, from passengers here in the second row. That controls the vents for 1, 2, and then 2 more at the back, as you saw earlier. You can also control the air conditioning from the front cluster for the rear air conditioning as well. And then the amenities from the second row include USB-C ports, 1, 2 there, drink holders there, and then lots of storage down here actually. There's a little tunnel there, and that's, oh, it's lit as well, and that is why there's such a huge center console. And as I'll show you, there's not much storage from here because most of the storage is occupied by the tunnel down there. And then you've got a sleeve there as well. One thing I love about the Kia EV9 is the interior lighting, which is probably not appreciated in the light, but it is very well lit and makes it look very, very classy and luxurious with the lovely cabin lighting. And again, people movers are all about luxury, storage and comfort. Very comfortable with this armrest down here, more drink holders, and 3 seats in the second row, 2 sides, and then the usual center sash. Okay, before we have a look at the driver's seat, let's have a look at the bonnet. That is opened by pressing this button twice. Okay. Let's lift up, hydraulic, and that's for refilling water. And then you've got storage here, Now, because this is all-wheel drive, the front bonnet is apparently smaller than the air or rear-wheel drive variant because of the extra motor. So I've got a loan of the air variant next week, so I'll compare and contrast. Another shut, pull down, and then extra push for the secondary latch. Okay, so here is the view from the driver's seat. Heated ventilated seats for both front passenger and driver, heated steering wheel with different settings, usual lock, side mirror controls and window controls, and child lock controls down here for the park brake, adjustable headlight levels depending on payload, charge port, frunk, boot, traction control off, nice big mirror, and blind spot monitoring, lots of air conditioning vents. Most of the materials here are sustainable and recycled, so recycled plastic such as Coke bottles, recycled fabric, vegan leather. So Kia definitely have made a huge effort to show people they're serious with EVs and sustainability, which must be commended. You can control the passenger seat from here. Oh, by the way, these do fold flat too, I should show you. So if you need to hang around in the car because you're charging, or just because you're waiting for someone or something, that's pretty cool. Yeah, just everything as you'd expect in a Korean vehicle these days. Very good finish and fitted very well, and the quality looks amazing. It just looks fantastic, especially at night time with the interior lighting. So yeah, Kia has come a long way, definitely. So we've got two big screens here, and joined in the middle with a smaller center screen for air conditioning controls. And then here the drive cluster is actually very straightforward. And by the way, these blinking lights is for driver monitoring. It does work. When I've been driving, looking at the screen here, the car starts to make sounds to let you know you're not paying attention. And then I like the center console. Like I said, you can configure with the controls here. So if I push this button here, you can switch between direction. And that's the cruise control visualization. This screen I quite like. I've always liked the eGMP platform trip computer information. So we've got currently 17% state of charge. I took delivery of this car at 99%. So, we've driven 416 kilometers already. And I reckon you could easily get 500 at the same efficiency of 19 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. I've done a mix of urban and highway driving. As I said, I've driven this to IKEA, to Costco, to visit family across town, to go to work, to drop kids at school, to go shopping. So yeah, very versatile vehicle. The one thing I will say though is just beware, it is quite a wide vehicle. So if you are cornering around shopping center car parks, yeah, just be really careful with your rims and your sides, of course, as well. But to counter that, there is a 360 camera, which does help somewhat, and also be careful of the height clearance as well. So yeah, hours driven, and then efficiency, and also projected range remaining. And odometer down here, 2,000 kilometers driven so far. Regenerative braking can be changed from I-pedal max, which I personally find too strong. It's really quite harsh. So I actually drive it on number 3, like that. You can go to 1, 0, and then with this paddle here, you can go up like that. So I'll leave it on 3. And then on this side, when I'm driving, I'll show you later on. You can see how much power you're using graphically, and then if there's any regen braking occurring here with the charge area. And then this is the speedometer, and then how fast you're going graphically as well. So the main infotainment screen is the usual navigation, which I actually find a bit clunky. Lots of buttons to press to get to where you want to go. The EV trip planning is not great. In fact, pretty much non-existent. It doesn't actually plan the trip for you and where you need to charge. You can find EV chargers manually though. Media, including Apple CarPlay, which I'll show you in my drive. And then the EV settings, press that one, gives you lots of consumption data, battery status. You can actually precondition your battery before you get to a DC fast charger, which is pretty cool. Might actually do that now. But it says it's already optimized, so okay. Must be useful for a colder day. And then this side, more of a breakdown on your consumption when you're driving. So most of the electricity is going to the driving, some to electronics, some to the climate. Through these other screens, you can actually set your charging time on and off. So yeah, if you have a cheaper electricity plan, you can do that. Whether you want to lock the charge cable, that's handy if you use public chargers a lot. Charging limit, it's quite good as well for a DC charger. And same with AC charger. and then V2L settings, what's your minimum reserve. Okay, so back to the steering wheel now. Different drive modes. So we've got Sport, My Drive, which is customizable, Eco, Normal. I normally have it on Normal. And then Terrain mode, if you are in snow, mud or sand. None of that today, so just back to normal. And then the different modes, that's for the different media modes. Voice activation, phone calls, volume control, and that's for media as well. That's for a favorite. These are the cruise control settings, so that's to turn it on, off. Lane assist, which to be honest is really quite annoying because it always comes on as soon as you start a drive. Same with traffic sign notifications, so I always turn this off before I start my next drive. Unfortunately, even with the profile, it comes back on as a default every single drive. That's probably my biggest gripe so far. Maybe that's a new requirement for ANCAP 5-star ratings here in Australia. I don't know, but that's certainly becoming a trend. I think this car and the BYD Seal is the same thing, where it reverts back to default on every time you start a new drive, which is unfortunate. Maybe that's the new normal. As I said, you can play with the drive cluster with the menu button, and then I'll show you more of these controls when we go for a drive on the highway to go charge this vehicle. Now back to the middle, air conditioning vents, nice and big, as you'd hope for a big car. Volume control in the middle, temperature controls, split or dual, and then control the air conditioning here as well. It's quite handy. We'll go back to auto, which I would like, and then fan controls there too. Hazard lights, more USB-C ports down here. You can switch between data and charging, or just charging, depending whether you need to use Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and they're all USB-C ports as well. Extra 12-volt socket there, and lots more storage down here as well, which I quite like. And lots of leg room, and you can probably shuffle across here between the driver's seat and the passenger seat if you really need to. And then this slides here. Lots more drink holders, which you can push to open like that. I'll show you again. This is quite nifty. And then more controls down here. If you want the sensors on and off, 3D camera, which I'll show you now. There we are. That's where we are right now. And then the different camera options there. Great for big vehicles like this, because trust me, hits really tight otherwise. Front cameras, front wheels, and 360 view. You can have options for the cameras as well. So as I said, not much storage here because of the tunnel below. Small bit of storage here for keys, wireless charger. Nice big glove box as well. Let me show you this. That's huge, right? Of course, lots of leg room for all the passengers because it's such a tall vehicle. Now this particular car doesn't come with a sunroof, which some of you probably prefer given the hot Australian climate. Nice big visor for a big screen, mirror with light, and this does fold across. Extension, which is good for a big window. Up here some more controls as well. Lights, SOS button, and then controls for lights, not buttons, they just kind of touch. Oh, and powered seat controls as well, and lumbar support. Let me just see if the driver's seat goes as far as the passenger seat for you. There we go, it sure does, and yes, it is very comfy, trust me. Now, I don't think there's a memory button for the seat controls, not that I have seen so far. Nice deep area for water bottle, and can confirm the passenger side also has powered controls. One more thing, the driver and passenger seats come with these mesh headrests, which I quite like because I've got an odd shaped head, so it's a bit more tolerance there if your head pushes up against it, so it makes it extra comfy. And the design of it is such that when you pull this off, or when you pull it up, that's what it looks like. Extra bit of backing there. Okay, let's start the car up. Okay, so like I said, because the default traffic notifications are always on, even with the profile, I will generally tend to switch them off because it's quite annoying. But I'll show you what I mean before I do that, so you know why I do it. Okay, confirm that. Okay, low battery. Okay, later. It's a bit of a slow startup, isn't it? So one more thing too is if you sort of lean your hand on this to press the touchscreen buttons, you will activate this inadvertently. So just be careful. Do not lean on this bar here because they are haptic buttons. So let's do that. Now what I want to do is actually go to the EV chargers at Seven Hills. So let's go to EV charging station Seven Hills. There we go, Abbott Road, Seven Hills. Okay, let's go now, 34 minutes, easy. All right, we are good to go. Let's do it. Oh, and reversing, the reverse gear shift, just down here, there is a bit of a vibration when you do that. Not so much when you drive, but on reverse, just to let you know you're in reverse. Nice little bit of innovation there. Okay, we are off. Now this is not really off-road. I mean, it is technically, but kind of on the grass. Very stable vehicle. Alright, let's see. So already straight away it's starting to beep. So yeah, give you a better idea once I get onto the main roads. Down the quiet streets. So luckily most of the streets where I drive around aren't super narrow. As I said before, my only concern was the really tight shopping centre car parks and workplace car parks with tight curbs and tight barriers that there is a risk of damaging your vehicle, especially your rims, if you're not careful, with such a big car. So just be really careful. Otherwise, of course, you know, end to end, as you'll see today on the drive, very comfortable, smooth journey, very spacious. Definitely as a 5-seater, very spacious, huge boot, as a 6-seater as well. If you go on a road trip, as you saw the boot there with all 7 seats up, it's a little bit tight for luggage. I guess if you add like a storage bin up the top on your roof area, you might be okay. But I think if you have 7 people's worth of luggage, then it might be a bit tight. I suppose you could, if you have 6 people, you could have one of the seats down, the third row seats down, then you've got a bit more luggage space. And this can tow apparently up to 750 kilograms braked, a bit more unbraked. That's another option as well. Now I thought this was as big as the Kia Carnival, but it's not actually. It's a bit smaller, definitely shorter in terms of the length of the vehicle. So the Carnival, from what I have seen and heard, is that there's a bit more luggage space up the back, even with all 3 rows up. So whether we see an electric Carnival one day, I don't know, but this I would probably classify as a 7-seater large SUV rather than a true people mover. In terms of pricing, there's not much really out there in this price range for this size vehicle in the EV market in Australia currently. You've got the MIFA 9, the LDV MIFA 9, which is I think $107,000, I think $109,000. This all-wheel drive variant, $106,000, I believe, or somewhere very close to that figure before on roads. Whereas the Air, which I'll review next week, is starting at sub $100,000. For me, if I wanted to drive this car all the time, I'd personally probably prefer the extra power the dual motors offer. And this, as you'll see on the freeway, has frighteningly quick acceleration for a car this big. 2.6 tons, by the way. That's unladen. It's just the weight of the vehicle. It's huge. A huge car. Something that can go from 0 to 100 in 6 seconds is very fast. So just be aware of that too, with a lot of power with dual motors. Okay, so I'm just like 2 kilometers an hour over, just down the hill, and again, that's beeping. So if you don't like that, again, the lane keeping assist sort of dragged me over across, which I also personally don't like too much of. You can actually do this on the fly. So let's start with lane keeping assist. So let's just go down to 40 now, we're in the school zone. So if you want to turn off lane keeping assist really easily, just hang on to this button here. And then when that turns orange, then you're off. If you want to turn off that traffic light or traffic sign beeping, you want to go to home, you want to go to settings, vehicle, driver assistance, and then speed limit, and then speed limit information, or off. I don't mind having the speed sign there, I just don't want to have it beeping at me all the time. And then to go back to Apple CarPlay there. So it's a bit of a hassle. I haven't been able to find a shortcut just yet. So if anyone who's driving a Kia or Hyundai regularly in the GMP platform, let me know if there's a shortcut to get to that. And even if I have my Driver One profile, which I set up temporarily, it still goes back to the default, as I said earlier. So even if you're like 1 kilometer an hour over, that can be a bit frustrating. Okay, so we're going to enter the North Connects tunnel. So hopefully you'll get an idea of some of the lighting in the dark, which is pretty cool. Slight lag with the acceleration of the mark. Seems to be more the norm actually, that slight lag with all the EVs I've driven, except for Tesla. Tesla's like instantaneous. Whether you like that or not, that's personal. But yeah, definitely a bit of a lag pressing the accelerator compared to instantaneous boom takeoff. Okay, so we are about to enter the North Connects tunnel. Hopefully you get a good chance to see the lighting. As we go and charge this car, which by the way has a very fast charge rate, 240 kilowatts, which is very quick. EGMP cars are known for. We should be able to get from, I think we'll reach there with 10%, get to 80% in like hopefully less than half an hour. Okay, here we go. This is when Waze gets a bit confused in tunnels. And this car is so big, it makes that Tesla ahead look like a very small vehicle. Whereas the Tesla Model 3 is not that small. But this is how big this car is and how high you're sitting up. So let's change lanes first. Okay. So once you're in, then you push cruise control again. And then up to 80. Okay. So when you hold up the button here, up and down, it goes up to the nearest 10 kilometers an hour. Whereas if you just tap it up and down, it just goes up by 1 or 2. So down here you can see now the power it's using. So I think on cruise control there's no regen braking, which I'll see. And then the speed you're going, graphic format as well. That's the current speed limit. And then, yeah, that's going off because I'm wearing these sunnies which record. That's probably why, because I can't see my eyes. And then when conditions are met, like now, for example, you can actually change lanes automatically. We'll try and find some way to test that. Of course not now because there are cars around us. Maybe once this car next to us moves, it's Ute. Let's see whether we can test it. Okay, let's try now. Blind spot monitoring. There you go, it's changing lanes for me automatically. Hands off the wheel slightly to test it. Okay, so that didn't quite work. I think that's because I've got lane keeping assist off. So that unfortunately turns back, just stays off when you go back to cruise control. So let's try that one more time. Lane change. That's why I'm always in control. Okay, so that worked a bit better. Then you need to turn the indicator off yourself. So there you go, good tip. If you want to do that lane change maneuver, which is available in this Kia with HDA2, Highway Driving Assist number 2, with lane change function, you need to have both auto steer, which is that green steering wheel icon, and the lane change or the lane keeping icon. Both of them need to be on when you're doing cruise control. I'll take my sunnies off, and you can probably see some of the interior lighting here on the front of the dash. I think it looks quite nice, personally. Gives it that extra warmth, that extra bit of cozy feeling. You know you're loved. These small touches, you know. And despite all this being recycled material, recycled Coke bottles, recycled plastic, recycled fabric, vegan leather, it's still a really luxurious feel, really comfortable interior. Doesn't feel cheap at all, honestly. And Kia have done a great job. And one more thing I'll show you as well is that you can change how close you want to follow the car ahead. So there you go. I like that. No confusion. Distance 4, and then graphically as well. Distance 1 is the minimum follow length. Pretty lights. I think they put this here in the tunnel to help with driver fatigue, because a lot of big trucks do use this tunnel, as you can see. Okay, out into the open and some fresh air. And I'm not sure whether you saw, but when I've been in other tunnels in this car, and other Kias and Hyundais actually, automatically blocks the vent so that the air recirculates inside the car for conditions like that. Okay, so now we're on the M2. North Connects joins on the M2 to go out to the northwest. And I haven't seen... Oh, press OK to enable lane change assist. Yeah, let's do that. Let's press OK. Haven't seen cruise control use regen braking just yet, but we'll keep an eye out for that. Okay, let's merge out of this lane. Oh, wants to speed up. Okay. Nope, I have to brake now because I don't want to exit this freeway just yet. I was hoping it'd be smart, lane change assist, and just help me out and slow down and merge, but no, it did not. Push cruise back on. So this road's not great because you can see there's been repairs onto the road, but despite that, the suspension is still really good. Very stable. Like, my goodness, for such a big vehicle, you'd hope so. Some road noise coming through with the corrugations, but certainly a lot better than other vehicles I've tested. I'll give you an idea once we hit, hopefully, a quieter patch of road later on. So we're in good shape, 14%. Probably get there with, like I said, 10% charge, or thereabouts. And look at that, 432 kilometers driven already in this vehicle. I know it's a big battery, 100 kilowatt hours, 95 kilowatt hour usable. But, you know, that's the kind of thing you need for such a big car. And if you're planning to go a long distance, you need a big battery. And 2 motors, lots of power. And efficiency, 18.8 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which is actually, pretty much advertised. So pretty close there, Hyundai and Kia. Or at least Kia, same platform car, EGMP. But yeah, it's good to see that some manufacturers are getting closer with their projected range. Not too far off. You know, with quick maths, you could probably get 500 kilometers on a full charge going at this efficiency, which honestly you would, right? You wouldn't want to fang it too much in this car. It's such a big car, and if you're buying this for a people mover, then you'd be carrying a lot of passengers in the car with you. So I think this efficiency is not unrealistic. I certainly haven't been driving this too quick, carrying my wife, my kids, the in-laws in the back. You want to be a safe driver. Okay, so now we're experiencing slightly smoother road. As you can see and hear now, much better insulation. Suspension's still really good. Great ride. Compare that to the car next to me. Probably hear that. Back to the corrugations now, so Bit of rattling going on here with my sunnies, extras, well, other sunnies that don't record, normal sunnies. Okay, so we're going to exit here and then go charge the vehicle. 14%, so we may not reach 10% because it's so efficient. Okay, let's switch cruise off, turn off. Alright, let's pull in. A couple of ways you can go. You can go through the petrol station or go through Hungry Jack's. And I believe they have recently upgraded this charging station. There is now, I think there are now 8 plugs. No, maybe 6. Whatever it is, there is a lot more than there used to be. Used to be only 2. Look at that, 6 stalls. I think some of them are still Chudamo though. That's the only gripe. That's okay. Let's use, it's on the right side of the car, so we'll use the one on the end. Should be long enough to pull around. And these should be 350 kilowatt chargers. So nice and quick to do our test. Let's do this. Okay, undo the flap. Let's connect the plug. CCS2. It's a bit of a pulley up there, so we should be okay. Yep. Let's do this one-handed. Oh, something strong. Okay, now it says plug connected. Please wait. Let's grab my app. Didn't bring my card with me today. That's okay. Should be alright. Okay, so this is stall number HSO16. Okay, so, and number 12 as well. So we can use that. Let's use stall number 12. Okay, PayPal payment, vehicle, yeah, that's, I don't have that over, that's alright, doesn't really matter. And let's start charging. Verifying payment details. I'll get to sign in every time with PayPal. 1 second. Okay, verifying PayPal. Payment accepted. Alright, session is starting apparently. Hopefully this will work. Okay, car said it's starting to charge. We are good. So it is now 8:35. Let's keep an eye on the time and see how fast this ramps up. 8:35 a.m. Hopefully it will take it 20 minutes or so. 14% state of charge. So we're going 90, going past 100 kilowatts now. Let's go check inside the vehicle. What charge rate are we getting? 120, ramping up very quickly. So there's I think there's a bit of a loss. We'll see when it stabilizes. It's 140, 150 kilowatts. And by the way, I had to move the vehicle because when I was parked too close to this line, it wouldn't actually handshake properly. I think the cord must have been too taut. So sorry about the bad parking job, but I did have to move the car slightly across to account for that. Getting a good rate, 198 kilowatts. I was hoping for 240. Oh well, 198 is still pretty good. Let's go inside the ar now that it's stabilized a bit. Ooh, look at that, no loss. 198. So pretty much exactly the same. That's cool. Very nice. 58 minutes remaining well. Yeah. That's to get to 100%, but you can see there it'll take 23 minutes apparently to get to 80%. So we'll keep an eye on that. And this particular location is next to the Ampol petrol station. There's a Guzman, Hungry Jack's, and of course the food inside the servo. And now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots here. So this is actually quite a handy location out in the northwest of Sydney. Need to charge the car. Oh, we've gone up past 200, excellent. You can see how inside the vehicle now you can leave the air conditioning running and there's no loss, which is good. And then your passengers will be nice and happy. You enjoy the cool and comfort while it's charging, hopefully in 20 minutes. Then of course from the Evie app, like most other providers, you can monitor the current state of charge, so 20% estimated cost. Yeah, DC charging has gone up in price, unfortunately. Time elapsed, and that way you don't have to stay in the car if you don't want to, or if you need to go to the toilet or get some food or whatever from over there. And that correlates with the current state of charge as well, very close to. That's 24% here, that's 23% here. So there's probably a slight delay. So 31%, 205 kilowatts, and it's 8:41, so only 6 minutes has passed. Okay, so about 9 minutes in, 40%, 208 kilowatts. It's actually getting faster. Okay, 12 minutes in, and it's now 50%, 212 kilowatts. So it's definitely maintaining its speed with another 12 minutes to go. I tell you what, 12 minutes in, honestly, with 7 people in the car, I think you'll all be waiting for each other still for the bathroom break and whatever else they want to do at the shops over there. So this is really quick, actually. 15 minutes in, 60%, still going at 200 kilowatts. Honestly, this is so quick. Another 9 minutes to go. Okay, so just for the remainder of this test, I'm going to set the charging limit to 80. That way it doesn't go over what we want to test. 18 minutes in, 70%. Another 6 minutes to go after I change the maximum charge on the settings there. And we should be able to get 507 kilometers at 80%. And as we've seen with the efficiency, that projection is actually pretty accurate. Very happy. And you'll see that the rate has finally dropped off, 135 kilowatts, which is actually still faster than a lot of EVs I've tested in my journey. So still very quick. Okay, it's 8:58, so about 23 minutes in and 1 minute remaining. So it was pretty accurate, right? It said 24 minutes to get to 80%. And we're almost there, 79%. So it should click over any second now. And the rate really has dropped off, 92 kilowatts. But still honestly pretty quick. There we go, done. 80%, and it just shut off just like that. And I can hear it behind me. Boom. Fantastic. And how much did that cost us? $51.98. And that was for 71 kilowatt hours worth of electricity. Okay, so it says return plug. Let's do that. Now, I calculated in that brief time that 71 kilowatt hours with a battery, or essentially 66% of the car's state of charge, gets us 330 kilometers of range. Right. So for a Kia Carnival, which is, I guess, the closest relative to this car, with a fuel consumption on average of, let's say, 8 litres per 100 kilometres, slightly better on the highway, slightly worse in the city. We've done a bit of both in this car. At a consumption of 8 litres per 100 kilometres, paying $2 a litre of petrol currently in Sydney, for an equivalent range of 330 kilometres, you'd have to pay $52.80. Now, we paid $51.98. So this is still slightly cheaper to drive electric. However, this is at a public DC fast charger, which is getting more expensive, unfortunately, at the moment. And there was a recent price rise with EV. So yes, you do pay the price for speed at a public DC fast charger, which you have to on the road. At home, I'm paying probably 1/7 the price of what I'm paying here at a public DC fast charger. I'm paying 10 cents per kilowatt hour between midnight and 4 a.m. with PowerShop. Instead of paying $52 today, I would have paid something like $7 to $8 for 71 kilowatt hours or 330 kilometers of range. So that's the difference between public DC charging and home AC charging. Okay, so just a couple more things I want to say before I wrap up. Firstly, with a battery this big, it's going to be an NMC or NCA battery, not LFP. And secondly, the sound system is actually really good in this all-wheel drive variant, this Earth variant. I would say it's almost on par with the Tesla Model Y sound system, which I think is actually one of the best sound systems I've heard in an EV. So yeah, I've been very impressed with the upgraded Meridian sound system. Alright, so in summary, I think if you need a vehicle that's big enough to fit the people you love in your life, up to 7 people, then this is probably the car to get if you want to get an EV as well. So there's nothing really else out there on the market at the moment. There's also the Mercedes EQS SUV, which is like at least double the price once you include on roads. And then the EV9, which is about the same price, but slightly bigger, and that's a true people mover. So not many options in the market at the moment, but Kia EV9 is certainly something you should look into very seriously. Very versatile for around town, quite big as I said though, just be careful around tight spaces, particularly shopping malls and other basement car park areas. But this would be a fantastic car for a road trip. You may need roof storage if you're bringing 7 people in this car to fit 7 people's worth of luggage if you go for a long drive. All in all, great quality inside and out, very refined interior, good fit and finish, sustainable materials. There's not much more you can really ask for in an EV in these modern times. So thanks Kia very much for loaning me this vehicle to test and review for the week. And as I said, stay tuned when I review the Air rear-wheel drive variant next week for the Kia EV9 as well. Thanks so much for watching. If you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. Otherwise, until next time, happy charging.